Wednesday blessing, my siblings in faith. It is a joy to be with you again on this beautiful day of Holy Week as we continue our journey to Easter morning. Our lectionary text from today comes from, again, the Gospel of John, and we are now in chapter 13 in the midst of the events that actually happen on Holy Thursday night. But this is the lectionary reading for today, so hear these words from John chapter 13, 21 through 30. After saying this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and declared, "Very truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he was speaking. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So while reclining next to Jesus, he asked him, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." So when he had dipped the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. After he received the piece of bread, Satan entered into him. Jesus said to him, "Do quickly what you are going to do." Now, no one at the table knew why he said this to Judas. Some thought that because Judas had the common purse, Jesus was telling him, "Buy what we need for the festival," or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the piece of bread, Judas immediately went out, and it was night. I don't know about you, but when I think and picture the beautiful events of that Holy Thursday Last Supper around the table, that iconic Lord's Supper portrait is the one that pops up into my mind. You see Jesus looking serene and flanked on either side by all of the disciples, some of them leaning in, some of them leaning back, some of them reclining, all of them engaging in some way. And even though they're probably having a really intense discussion, there is something peaceful and serene about the picture. In fact, that's often how I want to picture all of the interactions that happen with Jesus and the disciples, even though our scriptures paint a very different picture. I want to envision this beautiful teacher standing before his beloveds, waxing philosophical, sharing deep theology, putting out there all these beautiful, wise teachings with all of these wonderful students all just sitting in a semicircle around him, fixed with rapt attention, soaking in every single morsel that Jesus has to give. How different the picture really is when we examine it. That Last Supper around that table in the upper room, that Passover supper that was transformed into something else, it was chaotic. It was hard. It was more like a family dinner where everybody was feeling really tense and not getting along very well. And Judas sits there in the middle of it, and how much we have speculated about the motivations behind what Judas is doing, and yet we'll never know why he participated in the breaking down of this relationship. This dinner is about betrayal and denial and anxiety and worry and fear. And those are emotions that are all too familiar to us these days. So as we mark this fourth day of the week, this Holy Wednesday on our journey with Jesus to Easter morning, let us acknowledge that relationships are messy, that the world is not neat and tidy, that we are all wrestling with some of that chaos and that anxiety and that worry and that fear, and we can relate with the emotions that were filling that upper room on that Holy Thursday evening. And so hear this blessing from Reverend Jan Richardson, blessing in the chaos. To all that is chaotic in you, let there come silence. Let there be a calming of the clamoring, a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that have made their home in you. that go with you even to the holy places, but will not let you rest, will not let you hear your life with wholeness or feel the grace that fashioned you. Let what distracts you cease. Let what divides you cease. Let there come an end to what diminishes and demeans, and let depart all that keeps you in its cage. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible, and see what shimmers within the storm. Amen. Blessings on your sacred Wednesday.